And we are on. All right, ladies and gentlemen, today our guest is Grace Thakani, and she's a fellow sister. I've seen her in few events, and I remember you also came to support Asvaye daily, and I think that's where we met first time, right? Oh, and at the party.
No, second time. Second time.
Yes. Party. Oh, yeah. Okay. Oh, at the party there. Okay, let me not go deep in that. My sister, let me welcome you on Asvaye Explorer. Look, it's a privilege to have you here, and I'm super excited to have you here, and I'm looking forward to exhaust this privilege.
Okay, good day, and thank you very much.
All right. Before we start with the set of questions, I wish you explain to people what is it that you do on a daily basis. What's your work?
Oh, I'm a clinical technologist in nephrology, currently working at Clinical Renal Services.
All right. How's that going though? Are you working with certain class of people, or you're working generally with people?
No, it's with the renal failure patients. I'm doing dialysis. Dialysis is more like a artificial kidney, a kidney outside the body. So yeah.
Right. If someone wants to study that, what are some of the subjects, if they are in high school? What are some of the subjects that they can follow?
Okay, for clinical technology, they studied CUT, DUT. I can say any university of technology. It supplies the clinical technology, and when you are in high school, maths, physics, and life science. Yes, those are the
Maths,
subjects.
Physics, life science.
But anyway, dialysis you can do it also when you are a professional nurse, a registered nurse. Part of her life.
And now I want us to start with our session. Before we get into more details of what you're doing currently, or maybe the sort of current conclusion of your life, I wish you take us back when you were growing up. You grew up in Botshabelo, right?
Yes.
When you're growing up in Botshabelo, what are some of the challenges that you face as a young person at that time?
Okay, first of all, I grew up, I was born and raised by a street vendor. So yeah, I had challenges because mostly I'll just say I come from a unprivileged family. But anyway, what I love is that my mom was a street vendor. We were able to go to school with that money. We were able to get food with that money, and I was also, me and my little sister will also be able to go to Linyakala Tuto, whereby we were using a transport to go to school with it. Also, she was also cooking, doing the what is it? This a feeding scheme, the feeding scheme in the school.
Yeah.
She was also doing that.
Among those challenges, which one really contributed to the ones that really shaped the core?
The thing is that with me growing up in that situation is that I always had a dream. As a young child, a young girl, I had a dream of being a doctor. But it's not always whereby things will work the way you want, the way you dream of. But what is the most important thing is that I wanted to be in that, being a doctor or being whatever that I wanted to be. The most important thing is that I wanted to be a breadwinner. So that is the thing, that is the most goal that drove me to where I am today. That I want to be a breadwinner, whether I work anywhere I want to be a breadwinner. I want my mother not to be a street vendor anymore. So yes, that is the reason, that is the impact that made me to be where I am today.
So what drove you to be to actually achieve the goals that you had? It was the thing of you wanted to be a breadwinner, you wanted to change the situation of your mother. Is that what is that correct, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Tell me about that. Tell me about like the why for a dream, or the why for a goal. Like, how is that important now that you had a reason to pursue whatever that was going to take your mother out of the like the beggary situation? Tell me about the importance of having a clear why, because for me, I feel like your clear why was whatever that I'm gonna do, I'm gonna give all my best for the sake of taking my mother in out of that taking my mother out of that situation. I would like you to tell me about the importance of having the why for the goal.
The importance of having why is that why should be actually what you dream of when you go to sleep, when you wake up, every time when you face challenges. It should be like your daily food, your daily bread. The importance of why is that even if you can face a challenges, even if when by you feel like here it's enough, I've had enough, I want to quit. But your why should be something that will say to you, no, remember. So yes, that's the thing I think it's most important, that whenever that you want to give up, when you have a goal, you have to have a why. I'm doing this. Because now there will be time whereby you face challenges, there will be time whereby you feel like now I've had enough. But your why should be the reason why you say, remember, it should be the reminder of, remember the reason you are doing this. Yes.
And what are some of the principles that you pick up from your mother? Like, if I have to tell you about myself, one of the things that I took from my mother was the like resilient spirit of entrepreneurship. That's one thing that I pick up from my mother, and which I see manifest. It manifests in me. What are some of the principles that you actually got from your mom, or you actually like detected from?
One thing, the most important thing that I got from my mother, it's patience. It's patience, and to be driven, like to have that a dream to drive. Because one thing about my mother is that when we were growing up, she will always say, you know what, I have a dream of owning a tuck shop. A patience also, because the other times the business won't be going well, but then the consistency, patience that she had, then it's one thing that I took from her. Because now, to me, I didn't put it in the entrepreneurship road, in the business road, but I took it to achieve my goals, to have patience in each and everything. I'll have patience that today it can be bad, but I know that it won't always be like this. Tomorrow it will be better.
Mm.
So yes,
And like, how do you like how I like that? How do you break away from like from that entrepreneurship inheritance? Was it like, for instance, my mother is an entrepreneur, right? And I became an entrepreneur by default because entrepreneurship was my second nature. You see what I'm saying? But with my sister, um, she's not passionate in like in the space of entrepreneurship, and she's always attacked at home, you know, that you should go for entrepreneurship. You see everyone at here, everyone around is an entrepreneur, because my father as well got a chance to be an entrepreneur at some point. So how do you break away from like the dictatorship of a family? I'm gonna give you an analogy for this. So there's this guy. There's this guy. I think it's from India. So he was saying he was raised in the family of doctors. So he's the first one not to become a doctor. But that was was such an intimidative thing. So how do you break away from not becoming like what you see around your family and become what you really want?
What differs me from that is my dream. It's that little girl's dream of being a doctor. I've always had passion in health. As I was saying, that little girl's dream is one thing that made me to be different from what I was growing up in. Because now I had a passion in health. I wanted to be a
Oh,
doctor. That is the one thing reason that made me not to be um affected by the entrepreneurship thing spirit. I think so. Yeah.
all right, I see. I see. And now I want to get to the type of relationship you have with your sister. It is a beautiful relationship that I see online. I don't know, like offline. I don't know how does it go offline, but it's such a beautiful relationship that I see, and I think that's one of the rarest thing. Like it's a rare to see siblings getting away like in that way, especially in our living years. What really fueled your relationship with your sister?
Yeah. The thing is that we with us growing up, my mom loved to buy same clothes. So we were treated like twins. That's how. And then we grew up like that, and she was the only friend that I had. I was the only friend that she had. So I think that is most the thing that made our relationship to be like that. And being able to be there for each other. I really don't know. I know many people they are asking how this is rare. How are you always like this? And I was like, yes, we are always like this, but I won't say there's a specific thing that made us to be like that. It just grew naturally.
It comes organica. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see, and now I want to go deep in I want to go deep in that like in your relationship with your sister. Do you like maybe recall like a very worst situation or worst day where she came up for you? Tell me about that
Yo,
day or
yo,
that moment, the one that you say it's on the top up too far.
it's in different. I also remember there was a time whereby I was doing um my driver's license, and then I went for the first time, and then I failed. And then I told her that I'm not going to do it again. I'm not going to do it again. I'm not going to register again. And actually, her and my mom, they went there. They took the um, forms. They came back to me, and then they said, "You know what? You are going to do this." And I was like, "No." And they did it. They filled the form for me, and then they said, "You are going to go there." And I went the second time. Um, I passed, and then I also remember again there was this day whereby I finished after my practicals. After my practicals, it was even before. It was before my practicals. After, I know it was on my second year, towards the end of the year, whereby I didn't even had any post for my practicals, and I I had given up. I was giving up at that time. I was giving up, and I was like to telling my mother that, you know what, I'm going to take a gap year. I'm going to take a gap year. And then I remember there was a time whereby she went to the church. She went to the church, and then she was praying for me to pass my BTech. She was praying for me to get the post. She was like, I'm going to pray for you. You are going to get the post. You are going to finish your BTech. You are going to get a permanent post that you want. You are going to get the car that you want. So it just made me emotional at that moment, because at that moment, she is one person that when I feel like my faith is now lacking, she boosted it. Yes.
I see. And I want to come to the question of failure. How do you normally respond to a failure? Let's say this is like a very intense like a very intense situation. You want this thing so bad, and now you fail. How do you respond to that?
I The thing is that my response towards failure has changed. Why I say that is because before I was one person that struggles mostly in the confidence, in self confidence. A
Are you are you
small
are you, are you
failure,
being real now?
yes, my like a small failure will be just breaking me at that moment. Till 20, I know till 2017. Then 2017, I went into depression. Into depression, and then I just took the over-counter medication just to calm me down. Till 2019, 2019, it was worse. I was having panic attacks, and then now I was in a chronic antidepressant. I went into the I took them, I think, 3 months, and then I did a retrospective thing for myself, and I was like, you know what, I'm not going to live like this. I have to look, what is it that really makes me happy? Why is the reason why I ended up being in depression, and what I can do to fix it? And at the end of the day, that is why I'm saying my response is now a different thing. At this moment, after my experience with a depression, then I realized that in life you will fail. In life you will win. So it's not like in each and every time I will be winning and winning and winning. There are times whereby I will fail, but fail doesn't mean like I have to now leave whatever. I just, when I fall, I just pick up myself and remember my why reason.
Yeah, the, that situation of depression caught my mind really. What made you depressed? What put you in that situation of depression? Was it failure? Was it because you failed and now your mind was? I mean, you were responding with
As I
depression,
was,
or you?
as I was saying, is that I had a problem with self confidence first. So that was the main thing that caused my depression. Because now having a problem with self confidence, and then when you fail, you just judge yourself more. It's more like you having you know how to criticize yourself, but you don't know how to be gentle to yourself. You don't know how to praise yourself when you did good. So that is the most thing that also led to my depression, is that I was focusing more in my failure than in the good thing that I was doing. Because the thing is that growing up, we like to have people's what I will say, but it's like what people think about you. We like to have people's approval in your life. That's the thing. If ever you did something good and no one said it, and then you feel like you're, and when you did bad and then they are talking, and then I was like, now I still have to, I have to be gentle to myself. Every little thing that I did for myself, every little achievement that I achieve, I have to say, well done. So self-confidence is one thing that led to my depression.
Now I am so interested in like in this scenario of our interview. Now, when you have low self-esteem, let me put it as low self-esteem.
Yes.
When you get to the moment where you have low self-esteem, you say you are not gentle to yourself. Now I want to question, do you think everyone around, I'm talking about your mother, your sister, and other siblings, or maybe your friends, did you realize their gentleness at that time, or they were also hard on yourself, on you?
No, they were not. And you
All right.
know, again, is that the other thing is that my relationship with my little sister, it's more like my relationship with my mother that I had with my mother, that I have with my mother. So in other things is that you are facing things, but now I, it was more like I can't tell them. Reason being, sometimes I'll be passing through a lot, but I know that whenever that I'm crying, they will cry. So you can't, you don't want to see them crying because we are crying now. So it was more like some things I just had to bottle them to me so that it doesn't affect them badly. Because I know for with the depression, they only find it out 2018. Because now 2017 I was in Pretoria, so they didn't know anything that I had a depression. And 2018 now I was back in Bloemfontein, and then they realized, oh my, there are times whereby you are isolating yourself, just cry, what's wrong? And then I told my mama, I don't know. There is a time whereby, you know, depression, it's more like, most especially with my panic attacks, I'll be having, it's like a pain, a needle pain in the heart. And then I'll be like, and then I feel like crying, and then I'll just cry. So, but then you can't cry before in front of them because they will also cry. So yeah.
You know, the reason I'm asking that question is because I wanted to realize or to discover if I once had something like this, that if you don't love yourself, if you don't have self-love, it is so hard to see when other people are loving you, even if they genuinely love you. But because you
Yeah.
don't know the language of love coming from within, you can't really like tell when people love you, and therefore you would have like wrong assumptions that people hate you or people don't prefer you or
Mm.
something like that. So I wanted to know if the same if the same sentiment is applicable also with gentleness. I thought maybe you couldn't realize if they were gentle or not because you were not gentle to yourself.
In that instant, no, I didn't realize them being not gentle. It was I
Mm,
saw that me, I'm the one that is not gentle to myself. I'm the
all
one
right,
that is criticizing myself.
all right. And here's the other question now. Um, were you diagnosed, or it was just you going to Dr. Google and like see these are the these are the signs of a depressed person, or did you what happened? How did you know? How did you
Oh,
find out?
okay. Firstly, when it started, I was just having panic attacks every time. It can be during before assessment. It was mostly before assessment in 2017. And then I just said, no, man, it's just an anxiety. Then that's why I said I just bought the over counter medication of anxiety. And then I was using a spray um, of anxiety. And then at that moment, it was just episodes. It's not something that I had for every time. It was episodes, and then I'll take the medication, and then I'll be fine. And then it will happen again maybe after a week. And then I was just saying, no, it's just anxiety. I have anxiety towards any assessment. And then 2018, um, I started having a feeling of isolating myself. Then I started having panic attacks again, but this time it was worse. And I had moments whereby I felt like crying only without any reason. 2019, then I went to the doctor about it because now my colleagues were saying, like, um, I think you have to see a psychology. And I was like, nah, I'm fine. And then when it became worse, that's when I went to the doctor and it was diagnosed. I was diagnosed with depression.
I'm curious to hear what you're gonna say on this statement that I'm gonna say. Like, what will be your comment on this statement?
Okay.
It's something that I've been saying like several times to different people. I tell people that there are a lot of people that are living in the state of depression, especially in
Yes.
township,
Yes.
and they keep telling themselves that they are fine.
Yes.
They keep telling themselves that they are not depressed. I feel like if there was a general, like if there was a huge tool that was to be used to diagnose people with depression or of depression, I feel like 70% or 80% of people living in townships could be like diagnosed with depression. I feel like many people are living with depression, but they just implode that, I mean, like realistic emotions, like like the realness of themselves, you know. I don't know what you've
Yes.
got to say.
Um, I think that's true. It's completely true. Is that now there's no a the thing is that I believe that there is no a tool there's that can define what is depression, because some people will be depressed in depression, but they are not realizing that is the depression in that moment. You know, where by some will say, no, I'm just an interpersonal person. It's just that I don't like people. That's the thing. We are having many things that misinterpret the depression side. Yes.
All right. How what's your advice to people who are going in like who are going through depression right now? And before you give an advice, I firstly start with, like, what do you believe to be symptoms from your experience of depression? And therefore you can end up with the advice on that, or like on the people who are going through depression.
Okay, with me, my symptoms, as I said, it started with the panic attack before anything else. It was
Please
panic
explain
attack.
this. Please explain these panic attacks in terms of analogy. What would you do and realize that you have a panic attack?
Um, Different people have different symptoms of panic attacks. That is why I said mine, personally mine, it was more like a needle. Ka Sesotho ba re lehlaba, wa bona? It was more like a needle pain in my heart. I wouldn't breathe at that time. Every time I breathe, it's like I'm pressing over this wound. So I was having that. Um, some it's more like you are anxious. You'll be anxious. To some of them, it will be like more like when you are scared. It's more like that. You are restless. It's
You're
more
not at
of,
ease.
yes. It's more of, some people experience the panic attacks in that manner. Yes.
See.
So different people have different symptoms.
All right. And at that during that time, how was your like? Were you still were you still studying around those times?
Yes, it started while I was doing my first year of practicum, which is
Did
2017.
it affect your academics anyway, or you were still passing?
No, I was still passing. Yes, somehow it affected uh, my academics, but I was still passing.
You know why I'm asking that? It's because many people would, in fact, people would think if everything is going right, like you're passing, you're making money, then you cannot be depressed. You know, uh,
That's
so
the thing.
that's why I'm actually going into that. And what's your advice? Like, what's your advice to people about depression? Because even in our world as people of color, you would be told that depression is a white people's thing. So how do you get depressed?
Um,
What's your advice?
my advice is firstly have someone to talk to. You don't have to bottle everything that you're going through um to yourself, because that is the most impact in causing depression. It's bottling up everything. If you have someone to talk to, um, then it becomes more easier. And again, you have to be gentle to yourself. You have to accept that in life there is failure, but failure doesn't mean that you have to give up. It means there is a second chance. You can try again. So that is my advice. Have
All right,
someone to talk to.
I love that, Grace. And now let's get into these two interesting topics: happiness and self-love. Like, let me tell you, because I bump into your profile from time to time on my timeline, or maybe when I go through my news feed. One thing that, okay, these are the two things that I've detected. Happiness and self-love. How do you formulate? Let us start with self-love. How do you formulate or get to a point where you really love yourself? You're not lying to yourself that you love yourself. How do you get to a point where you love yourself? What is it that you have to understand, or what is it that you must think about? Like, how is it looking like?
Oh, the way I always describe self-love is that you love yourself even when you don't want to. When I'm saying that is that even if you face failure, some people will be like, once they face failure and then they are angry at themselves, and then it's like, it's my fault, I did this. And then you have to be as I said, you have to be gentle to yourself. You have to love yourself, whether you are facing failure, whether you're facing achievement. You don't have to just say to yourself, well done, because now you said you've achieved something. And then that's only when you love yourself. That's only when you praise yourself. Is that, you know what? Yes, I failed, but for the mere fact that you have to appreciate yourself, but at least you tried. I love the fact that you took a step and tried it. And then that's it. And then that's where my happiness started. As I said, firstly, is that I had a low self-esteem. I was not, um, I'll just say I was having this fake happiness with myself. I would love other people, but I was not loving myself enough, in a manner that even if I made a mistake, I'll say, I love that you tried. You saw that you will achieve this when you do this. So it's self-love means you love yourself in all situations, all aspects.
And what are other foundational pillars of happiness for you? You mentioned self-love. I think, if I'm hearing you correctly, self-love also contribute to your happiness, or source of happiness. And what are other things that we can take into consideration to reach a happy state?
To reach a happy state, one thing is the self-love. Secondly, it's acceptance.
Yeah.
If ever now you can accept, if ever now you can accept your situation. One thing is that in this era that we live in, is that some people, they don't accept their situation. Firstly, you have to accept who you are in order for you to achieve what you want to achieve. If ever now, I say my little sister um, earns more than me, and then now she buy a house, and then now I'm not happy with myself, and then now I'm forcing myself to buy something that she can afford, and then which me self I can't afford. And then how will I be happy in that? Because now I'll be facing debts, and then I'll be stressed, and then I won't even enjoy what I won't be happy with what I'm doing at that moment. So in order for me to achieve what I want to achieve is to accept my situation, to live my life in my terms, and that will contribute to my happiness, because I'll be happy with what I have, and what I want to have. And what will I do to achieve what I want? Not um to be pressed by peer pressure. No, not to be pressured by because my friend has this and because who has this and because what there's no, is to accept yourself, be gentle to yourself, love yourself, and then it will contribute to your happiness.
What's your best advice to people that are going through the recession of things around their lives? And I don't mean recession in an economical way, but I mean recession in a way like in their like in development of life. These are people, the people I'm referring to, these are people that are seeing, like, they see their friends buying cars, see their friends starting new businesses, very establishing very successful businesses. And these are friends, this person see a friend graduating, they see, but they are in a state where when they look at their life, they feel like my life is going down compared to the people around me. What's your best advice to such people?
There's this quote that I once read is that they made a example with a taxi or a bus. A taxi will take all of you in complex. And now it doesn't mean all of you are going to be there. You are having a same destination. Someone will her destination will be, maybe let me take it like in Botshabelo. You are taking a taxi from Fairways, you are going to M section. Some will, their destination will be C section, some will be B, some will be A, some will be D, some will be then M. Is that it doesn't matter how long it will take for you to arrive there. At the end of the day, you will arrive. Not all of us will arrive at the right time, at the same time, but we will arrive there. So one thing is that you now have to tell yourself that I can be arriving at the same time with my friend. We are not coming from the same background, and you have no. It can happen that she is privileged to have it at that time. And now, as they always say, God's time is the perfect time. Yours will come. It might not come today. It might not come tomorrow. It might take a year or 2 or 10 years. But at the end of the day, your time will come.
When you entered in a relationship with God, how did your life change? What were some of the, like, how was the change? How would you describe the change?
Okay, for me, it was, I'll say it's a different situation, but I know there are some people who, I grew up in a church. I was born in the church. I grew up in the church, but there was a time whereby I personally had a relationship with God. There's a difference with going to church, being told, you know what, go to church, you just go to church, and then you come back. And then there's a time whereby you have a relationship with God. There's a time whereby you talk to God. I know that in my life there was a time whereby I didn't even have words to pray. I'll just sit there and then I'll just cry, 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 and then get up and then go back home. Every time when they say, let us start to pray, mine, it was not uh, words. It was just tears. And then I'll be asking God, okay, like, why am I having to face this while I'm still this young? And I say I've seen, it's that thing of seeing your God taking you through the most
Wait,
difficulties.
wait, Grace. Just before you say that, you're saying when it was time to pray, other people would be saying words. What would be happening on your side?
I'll be crying. I won't have any words because of the situation that was happening, like the situation that I was facing, the situation that because at some times you'll be finding you are going to church and then you pretend like everything's fine, but you know that when you come back you don't have anything to eat. And then you go to school, but then when you come back you, it's more like I was saying, it's more like we are living the life that we are not living. It's more like pretending that everything is fine, but when you get into the house, you are facing now the reality. Then you won't be having anything. It was more like I didn't feel like saying anything because now you feel like they say, you have to ask God 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then you ask, but still, you are still like, it's next week now, still. And I'll be like, I feel like, how will I ask for one thing on and on and on and on? And then I'll just sit there and then just cry. And then after that, when I started now saying words, I was like, God, if it is what you planned for me, it will happen. If it's not, then it won't happen. But as I said, it's my relationship with God. Um, it was I'll say a very nice one because after all, it didn't take 2 days or 3 days or 2 years to seeing Him taking me to my destination. That is why I'm saying your destination might not come today. It might not come tomorrow. But at the end of the day, you will reach your destination. So at that moment, you are seeing that your friends, your peers, they are prospering, they are having this and this and this and this and this, and then you are not having them at that moment. That is what, to some people, it causes a depression because now people around them, they are prospering. And some you will say, but at this age, Bahle had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm 6 years older than him, and I'm not having anything. But that is what I learned, just to be patient, that my day will come. And
Well,
at this moment, I've realized that my season has come. It's not my day, but
it's your
it's my
season now.
season. Yes.
I like that. I like that. I'm so fascinated by that. And just one last question before we jump to the next question. In your mind during the moments where, like, when you have to pray, when people cast words and you really like cascade tears, during those times, what was happening in your mind and in your heart, considering the relationship with God? Didn't you formulate some hatred for him? Like when you pray for, like you prayed for many things he couldn't deliver, and now you feel lazy to pray for one thing because he couldn't deliver in many things. What really What did your mind say?
In my mind, in my heart, it was only why? Why me? That was the only thing. Always asking, why me? Why me? But and then there was this preaching, and then that pastor said, now if ever you say to God, why me? If God will ask you, who then? What will you say? And it made me rethink, and I was like, if ever now God ask me, who then? And then maybe I say Bahle. And then she say, why? Why him? What will I say? So my question was always why? Why? Till I realized that um the way God works is not how I think. We want the thing is that we want the answer now. If we want to pray, someone will say, I want to pray for a car and I want it now. Why now? Do you have a license now? You don't have a license. But you are saying you want a car now. How will you drive that car? So one thing in my mind, it was always why at that moment.
What's your favorite scripture of all times? Like when you're going through something, this is the scripture that you remember. Like, what's that one?
Yo, I'm having a lot, a lot. But one of them is Revelation. It's whereby a letter was sent to a church saying that ari ngiyayazi imisebenzi yakho, uthanda uxolo nokholo lwakho, kodwa into inye nje ngani, ukuthi nilahle uthando lwenu lokuqala. Like you lost your first love. Remember where you come from and go back. Like go back, uthathe uThixo wakho apho umlahle khona. So that is one thing that every time whereby I feel like now I've lost my why reason from the first place. And then I'll say to myself, go back and remember the reason you are here.
All right. Get it.
Yes.
Oof, that gives us chills, eh? It gives me chills because we do it all the time. Like we do it all the time. Yo, it gives me chills. Like honestly. All right. Let's get to personal relationships,
Yes.
romantic relationship. What are some of your principles or standards that you have in the name of love? Like how do you know it's love? How do you know now it's time to leave? Like how do you know those two?
Um, where I know it's time to go, it's whereby I'm not appreciated. One thing about me is that I don't need someone to, there's a difference. There's someone who will always do everything that you want, but doesn't love you. What I've realized is that there is someone who'll be in the relationship because now he is busy seeking the right person. So he will be in the relationship do whatever that you want and still not love you. So for me, is that wherever I am, I have to be in a relationship, I have to be appreciated. So where I'm not appreciated, I open the door.
What's the
and go.
appreciation looking like?
Appreciation, it's in many ways. It's in many ways. Is that, the thing is that in now, like in some relationships, is that now, because your partner is the one that is providing everything for you, that person won't even appreciate you. That person sometimes doesn't even respect you. It goes with the respect, the appreciation. It goes hand in hand with the respect. You have to be in a relationship whereby you are respected, whether you have money or not. If the respect is mutual and the appreciation is mutual, whether if now, if ever, like, let's say, you have to appreciate each and everything that I do for you. Now we are in the relationship. The relationship, I feel like now we are in the relationship. The thing that I said, like, now in the era that we live in, is more like when someone did something, like, if ever now your friend, his partner bought him a car, and then now you want your boyfriend to buy you a car, but you don't consider that these people, they are not in the same status, they are not in the same level. So you have to appreciate each and everything that your partner do to you. Whether today he bought a sweet, or whether he bought something for you to your work, or whether he only washed your car, or whether he called you. So that's the thing. Appreciation is to appreciate everything, every little thing, to be grateful of what you have. Yes.
I see. The other time I said this to people and they laughed at me, and I still stand. When people ask me why people cheat, I'm not saying boys or girls, I'm saying
Yeah.
people in general. I don't put gender on this thing.
Mm.
I say amongst the reason or in reasons why people would cheat, depression would be included. Some people cheat because they are depressed, but that's not where I'm going with
Mm.
this. What I want to ask is what I want to ask really is, how do you deal with pride in a relationship? Pride is one thing that permeates in our living years in the relationship, and it sucks. People value themselves than the relationship itself. It's like they are god of relationships. It's like they are like superior than their partners, or their partners are living in a state of inferiority. So how do you really deal with the pride in the name of love?
Yeah, pride, ne? Pride is something. But you know what? That's the thing that I've realized, that many relationships, they end because of pride. Because now, example, you'll be a woman, and then you will be maybe earning more in the relationship. So now, because our society, have maybe described a man should be the one that is providing. So now, it makes most of men to feel like you belittle them, because now um they are not any more than you. They are not doing what the society
Sorry,
describes
sorry.
them
Can
to
you
do.
sorry? Can you please lower what you have on your hand because it really shines bright like a diamond. So
So
it's-
sorry.
yeah.
Yes. So now most of male will have pride that I won't be in a relationship whereby my partner is any more than me, because now she will want to be the man of the house. And it's not always like that. There are women who will be earning more, who will be having properties, while as well you don't do, but they will still, as I said, it's always goes back to respect. It depends on the respect. Yes.
All right. Now I want to get to your relationship with money. How's your relationship with money? What are some of the best principles, or what are some of the shortfall when it comes to money? Because every time when I ask this question, in people's mind, it's like I'm only expecting like the wisdom around money, and there can be like you know, not wisdom, but like a shortfall, lack of knowledge around money that can be educational to someone else. But tell me about your relationship with money, and what are some of the principles that like um,
Oh.
you apply?
Yeah, when it comes to money,
Hey,
yeah,
people don't like talking about money, Joe. Yo, I.
no, it's not like that. It's not like they don't want to talk about money. It's that some of us we misuse money. You know, there are those people who their happiness are relying on money. Whenever they have money, they want to spend, and then they'll be happy in just spending money. And then there are those people who will be saving money, and then so yeah, it depends. Some people they think of tomorrow, and then some will be saying you YOLO, you only live once. So with me, I have I have my different days. There will be time, but I do save. But there will be some days I'll be like, but this one, uh, I just have to pay myself for like to to repay myself for I've been working for long, so this one I have to just celebrate.
I
Yeah, so
see.
I have my different days.
I see. This sounds like your answer on this question. It sounds like the more like this is one awkward question that I've actually submitted to our conversation. How you answer this question, it's like I can feel the awkwardness coming from your response. The reason I'm asking about money, and at some point in my life, I realized that whoa, wait, all the movement that happen in the world, it happens because of money. All right, there can be a discussion beyond that. That some movement happen because of hope, but what people are hoping for, if but it's a long conversation. The reason I'm asking about money is because money, I've realized that money is an important tool in a daily routines, or
In the world.
in daily routines of people. Yeah. So it's having your acumen on money would really go a long way. But I really get it. If you want to learn more about money, or like, yeah, you can go to some of the interviews that we've had. I've interviewed some people who spoke very well with money. Like, yeah, they spoke very well about money. And and now I think we are approaching the conclusion of our interview. I really want to say thank you for coming. I really appreciate you. Us. It's not a privilege we give you, it's a privilege you gave us. I don't know if I do make sense. I want to wrap with this question now, the question of social media. There's a lot that has been impacted by social media in people's life. Mistakes, different things, you know, like what can you say about what can you say about people living in social media, or the life that we live in social media? Some people mention like the fakeness, the pressure. You mentioned the peer pressure. See people doing this, therefore you start doing. Like what do you have to say about social media?
What I've realized is that social media is putting a lot of pressure in our generation, because now people are after the followers, are after the likes, are after the reactions of what people will they are after the reaction of people, of the followers. So that is what I've realized me is that for me, I've set a threshold that I'm going to live my life the way I want to. I'm not going to compare myself with anyone else, because I don't know where that person gets the money to do that. I don't know the profession of that person. You'll find out that now you just see um, Bahle is driving this car, Bahle is living the life, he goes to this kind of hotels, he goes to oversee and things. So now and I think that is the most what is it, the most factor that causes most of our uh, generation to have depression, to end up causing suicide, because now they want to live the life that they see on social media, not considering their own life that they are living in reality. So I think it's more about accepting yourself. Social media, yes, but remember is that now there are people that it is their job to do that. It is their job to have followers. So they are working doing that, and you want to live that life, not having that money that they do. Some of them, they are having sponsors to do that. You don't have to. But really, social media is affecting our generation a lot.
Love that, Grace. I love what you're alluding there. And now, what's your wish for Africa?
You will hear that. No, they say who um your neighbor or someone that you know committed suicide. The reason being depression. And you'll be feeling like, some will be like, we, it's most like most of us, they are going through it, but they don't have someone to talk to. What I wish that it's like each and everyone who's going through a lot will just have someone to talk to. Just have you to know that whatever that you are going through, I also went through that. I also went through that, and just to have, I don't know, I think an awareness of depression maybe will minimize these suicides.
What do you have to say about this platform, Asvaye Explorer? By the way, thank you so much for being supportive on some of the on some of the things that we did as the company. What's your what would you like to say about this platform?
One thing that I would like, okay, firstly, I would love um to thank you for giving me the opportunity of sharing my story. And again, I just wish you the best in all aspects.
All right, Grace. Thank you for coming, and I really
Thank
appreciate
you.
you. Thanks for your time,
Thank
and
you.
thanks with everything. Only mountains cannot meet, but people meet
Yeah.
regularly. So I'll see you sometime. I wish you
Okay.
all the best in everything that you do. Do you have any business at
Thank
this
you.
moment? What are you working on? Is there anything that you're working on that includes people? Maybe it's a project or anything.
I'm thinking of starting something, but I haven't. It's not yet in writing, so
All right, all
I
right.
want to leave now.
Please, okay, yeah, please. When you start that thing, just text me. I'm all around. And thank you so much. I want to say this as as a gift pack. I like it when as promising people come together to lift up the ones with no promising situations at all. I like it when we show love in that manner, instead of contesting for power and for respect. It was said by philosophers that respect is not something that you contest for; it's something that you earn. You know, by doing whatever that you are doing. If it's worth to earn respect, you will automatically earn respect. I like it when we come on this table and have these conversations because the same thing that we're doing right now can lift one soul out there. One of the things that I've heard from different guests coming, they said, man, just continue with this because you'll never know who's watching and you will never know who you're saving. So thank you so much. I know this is a collective responsibility. I want one day when I look back and have people behind me and behind us that say it was through that interview I managed to escape um, the township metrics. I wish one day we meet with people who never thought who never thought that they will reach certain things because they thought they were not smart to do certain things, only to find out it took certain process to get there. So I wish one day we meet at the stage where we celebrate people that we lifted up, people that we spoke to. So thanks so much for coming.
Thank you.
Don't allow any problems that come your way to say to you, you cannot make it in life, give up. No.
People define love as sex, and that's not how it is.
My brain was capturing this for the last time so that when it goes off,
I respect myself.
So my mom single-handedly raised me. So
it's not all about the emotions. The emotions, you are having them
right now. It's also because we're competing, especially the system of
love, Ntando.
I believe I've seen God personally touching me.
They don't really mean sorry.
Realize how much you are worth and stop chasing the cheap hookups.
Like, I had a very positive mindset to say, you know what?
If you continuously say I'm tired, eventually you're going to be tired.
They are not true to themselves.
Teenagers that actually know what they want to do.
You want to be a millionaire, you really need to chill with the millionaires.
People actually want to sell what?
Or a sweet or a something to.
Nice. I'm grateful for the life that I've gotten to live up until this point.
Tomorrow you wake up and you start reading.
You can lead anyone or anything.
So you see this graph, ne?
It's the SEC 15, which is our colon clean.
Looking at myself in the way God sees me, and that's
what I will tell you.
I lost that 150,000.
How much are you getting paid for this? And I'm like, nothing.
Then 2017, I went into depression.
As your father.
Don't forget to follow and subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's Asvaye on Facebook. Follow Asvaye and share the conversations. Question people about mentality.